May 1920. It was too early. Marion Conlon, pregnant with twins, was in a hospital in Brooklyn and her labor could not be stopped. She gave birth to two tiny, premature baby girls. One lived 20 minutes. The next, barely living, was so small it seemed impossible. Her parents received no sympathy from the obstetrician. "Don't rush to bury that one," he said brusquely, "because you will need to bury the other one too." He predicted that she would not live the day. "Aren't there machines for little babies that will help them?" the father, Wolsey Conlon, asked desperately. "Yes, but we don't have those here," the doctor said. Conlon remembered seeing a sideshow with premature infants in incubators at Atlantic City. That was hours away, but he remembered something else. The incubator doctor ran another sideshow closer to home. Wolsey Conlon, wrapping his 2-pound daughter in a towel, walked outside and hailed a taxi. "Coney Island," he directed. "Can you step on it, please?" All the world loves a baby. The incubator doctor, Martin Arthur Cooney, was born Michael Kahn on December 29, 1869, in the Prussian town of Krotoschen. In 1888, just 18 or 19 years old, he immigrated to the United States. But one day, in 1896, Martin Cooney's life changed forever when he heard about a display of premature babies. Preemie sideshows, despite being a unique attraction, were not unheard of in Europe. The sideshow Cooney learned about was at the World's Fair, being shown by Pierre Boudin, a French physician. Cooney immediately realized the incubator's potential. He knew that it could save many lives. He was determined to find a way to save the babies. Though historians now believe that Cooney was not a medical doctor, he was interested in the care of preemies. He decided that he would do whatever he could to care for the babies. Without medical credentials, Cooney could not advocate for the babies from within the medical system. His only choice was to go to the sideshows. Since he was never formally a doctor, Cooney was not readily accepted by the medical community. Don Raffel, author of The Strange Case of Dr. Cooney, How a Mysterious European Showman Saved Thousands of American Babies, explains.
In the United States, there were a number of barriers. So one is that hospitals didn't have tremendous resources then. The overall infant mortality rate was high, and there just wasn't a lot of concern for these very special babies, these tiny preemies.
Furthermore, the American eugenics movement, a popular social movement which peaked in the 1920s and 30s, was very focused on the survival of the fittest. While the preemies were not direct targets of the movement, there was little concern for them. They were known as weaklings, even in medical literature. Cooney was frustrated that many people did not understand why caring for a premature baby was worth the effort and resources that were required to ensure their survival. He intended to prove that the babies were not weaklings and were worth saving. Beginning in 1903, Cooney ran 2 sideshow attractions at 2 of Coney Island's amusement parks, one in Luna Park and one at Dreamland. Over the years, his sideshows could be found across the United States, including at the 1933 Chicago World's Fair, the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo, New York, and a sideshow in Omaha, Nebraska. However, no matter where he was, his slogan was always written at the door of the show: "All the world loves a baby." Although sandwiched in the busy and crowded Midway, the infant incubator building was hard to miss. Just like any other sideshow, barkers attempted to lure in the crowds. "Come this way, ladies and gentlemen. See the tiniest bits of humanity. Maybe the future president is inside." The building's interior was calm and orderly, drastically different from the chaos and noise outside. Incubators stood against the walls. Nurses and doctors tended to tiny babies, born weeks premature and far below healthy birth weight. Everything was incredibly clean. Upon arrival, the baby was given a bath in cyanized water and mustard. Those that could swallow were given 2 drops of brandy. The baby was then rubbed with alcohol, swaddled, and given a pink or blue ribbon. The child was placed in an incubator kept at about 96 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on the patient.
There was a big scramble for clothing. to fit me that they had to buy dolls' clothes. Nobody made clothing for tiny little babies. But even at about 5 pounds, I was still much smaller than the average baby.
In order to demonstrate scale for onlookers, Madame Amélie Louise Recht, Cooney's head nurse, would slip a diamond ring around a baby's wrist. Although it is unlikely that Cooney had any medical education, the registered nurses who worked for him were well trained and incredibly skilled, including Annabelle May Segner of Lafayette, Indiana. Someone had recommended her to fill in as Cooney's head nurse while Madame Recht was in France for a short time. Segner would later marry Martin Cooney in 1903, and they would have one child, Hildegard, born prematurely herself. As an adult, Hildegard, too, would become one of the sideshow's nurses. Also helping Cooney was Dr. Julius Hess, a friend of Cooney's, now known as the father of American neonatology. Hess was critical to Cooney's success as he provided the medical credentials that were required by the medical community. Not every baby Cooney cared for would survive. He kept trying to save the lives of premature babies, especially those who fell under the critical 2-pound barrier, the least likely to survive. He would get an opportunity in 1918, when a baby girl weighing just under 2 pounds was delivered to Coney Island. There was no guarantee if she would live. She was named Lillian May Mandel. Upon her arrival, a nurse promised, "If she lives, I will buy her a dress." Fortunately, Lillian was able to receive that dress on her 18th birthday, becoming the first baby weighing under 2 pounds to survive thanks to Cooney's sideshow. When she graduated, she also received a golden wristwatch. Engraved on the back was, "From Uncle Martin." Beth Allen, born Beth Bernstein, weighed only 1 pound, 10 ounces. Another baby, Anna Steinecke, supposedly weighed barely more than a pound. Achieving this required an entire team. May and Hildegard Cooney placed them, Louise Recht fed and cleaned them, Dr. Julius Hess provided medical assistance, and of course, behind them all, the man whose methods rescued them, Martin Cooney. He believed in them, cared for them, loved them. The incubators Cooney used were not a new invention. Similar incubators had been used previously in Europe. However, many of Cooney's methods for caring for preemies were innovative and life-saving. For instance, he insisted upon feeding only breast milk to the babies, he hired only the best nurses, he developed a way to feed the infants using a spoon through the nose, and monitored the temperature in the incubator depending upon the infant's needs. This likely saved thousands of babies' lives. Cooney would not cease to run the sideshows until 1943, when incubators began to be widely used in hospitals. He did not only save the lives of the babies in the incubators of his sideshows, but by publicizing the remarkable qualities of the incubator, he caused the machine to be trusted by the medical community. As a result of his success saving premature babies, the incubator began to be commonly used by medical institutions. However, Cooney does not receive the due recognition for these important advances in the medical field. He is a true unsung hero of the medical profession. A common estimate puts the number of babies Cooney saved in his lifetime at 6,500 to 7,000 lives. Cooney's groundbreaking methods, along with the incubator, continue to impact the lives of premature infants who receive essential care in an incubator.
The whole thing is just amazing to me, and the older I get, the more appreciative I am of the opportunity that I was given to be here, to talk to you, and to live the wonderful life that I've had.
Before 1943, the survival of premature infants was grim. American hospitals did not have the technology or will to keep these babies alive, and premature infants were tragically left to die. Martin A. Cooney worked to save the lives of premature infants for over 40 years. Cooney worked tirelessly on an incubator, along with other specific techniques, to ensure the survival of premature babies weighing under 2 pounds. In order to be able to save the lives of the babies, Cooney did something almost unthinkable today. He put the babies and their incubators in sideshows. In order to fund the infant's care, Cooney charged the viewers of the sideshow, not the parents of the infants. By doing so, he saved thousands of lives throughout his career. As Claire Prentice said in her book Miracle at Coney Island, it is hard to see Martin Cooney as anything but a hero who from the very fringes changed the direction of American medicine and made an incredible impact on the world.